Hey everyone, very fortunate to be joined by Pukekohe youngster and someone who's on the fast track to Formula One, hopefully, Liam Lawson. Liam, appreciate your time, mate. You are a finalist in the Counties Manukau Sports Awards, the Sporting Excellence Awards there, in the International Sportsperson category, up against a couple of motorsport stars and Scott Dixon, Shane Van Gisbergen, and young baseball star Jason Matthews. How does that sort of sit with you, mate, to be considered one of the best in our region at the moment?
Yeah, it's very cool. First, thanks very much for having me. But no, it's feels very nice to be in the position to be nominated as one of the guys for winning that. I've had a pretty cool season. It's been very very busy this year. Spent a lot of time. Well, I've been in Europe now since February, and now on my last couple of weeks now before coming home at the end of the season, which I'm very excited to. So but it's very very good to be nominated.
Obviously, a couple of pretty big guns there. If you look at what Scott's done, winning another IndyCar title in that judging period. Shane won a Bathurst crown. He's sort of shown his skill set across multiple platforms, winning at Jacks Ridge and the New Zealand Grand Prix in pretty amazing circumstances. Do you guys have much contact between each other, sort of leading Kiwi drivers on the international stage? Do they mentor you in any capacity, or do you share sort of stories and help each other and whatnot?
I mean, yeah. Firstly, it's very cool to be up against up with at least guys that I used to absolutely idolize when I was younger. So now to be nominated for an award in the same category as him is very very cool. With all of them, honestly, mostly with Shane, I would say. In the recent years, had quite a lot of contact with. He's been very very open to helping me in any way that he can, which is really really cool. I think actually the New Zealand Grand Prix, I was engineering a car that weekend that was teammates with Shane, and it was Matthew Payne actually. And watching Shane drive that weekend and watching how he works, I actually learned a lot. Just watching him from an outside perspective. Looking at how he works, even just for sort of a fun weekend like he did. That was very very cool. So and same with the other guys as well. With Scott, I was fortunate enough to meet Scott a couple of years ago when I was a bit younger. Actually at Leadfoot Festival, which was pretty cool. I was a little bit younger then, so definitely at the time it was quite a wow moment. But I would love to be able to catch up with Scott as well in the future.
All right, mate. Let's have a look at your year itself. You've had a phenomenal year, splitting time between the DTM Championship, saloon car racing in Europe, as well as competing in the Formula 2 on the stepping stone, as we say, to Formula 1. How have you sort of found that transition? Because if I'm right in saying you hadn't done a whole lot of tin top racing entering that DTM Championship, and to be in many ways probably still champion in a lot of people's eyes after how that all played out. Must have been a pretty phenomenal experience this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. So different to what I'm used to. In the way just driving the car itself is completely different in every way possible. Also the working environment, the way the team works as well, being in a manufacturer championship rather than a single make championship was something I actually really enjoyed. It was my first taste of. I mean, it's not like Formula One, but in some ways is like Formula One in the way that it's manufacturer racing. That's I liked the way that obviously us being with Ferrari, the Ferrari was our own car that we were driving. It was basically we could develop anything we wanted, obviously within regulations. We could push the boundaries and develop what we wanted to make the car better. And they had a lot more freedom of doing that than you get in single make championships. So I loved that side of it, and working with a much bigger team as well, with a lot more guys, a lot more engineers, was very very cool. And the season went really really good. Obviously, we know the end result wasn't what we wanted, but still the whole season as a whole was really really good. I would have liked Formula 2 to go a bit better. This season has been pretty rocky, pretty up and down. I think the new format this year that we have has definitely made it more difficult, I would say, for us. And that it's quite easy to get caught up in things and throw away a whole weekend, really, with either a bad quali or a bad first race. And with the reverse grid races, it's quite messy. So I would say that's been quite tough. And to answer your question, the transition between the two cars has been at the start of the year for sure very tough. And in fact, my first time going from DTM car to F2 was going to a preseason test. It was after the first round, but it was still classified as preseason, and I was my first run like 3 seconds off on my first couple of laps to where I needed to be, and it was like, holy moly, it's going to take a while to get used to this. And over the season, I got better at it. I think the more I did it, the more I knew the main things to focus on stepping into the car, and I think it got to a point where it wasn't so bad. You know, I could be there in the first couple of sessions.
All right, you touched at the start, mate, that you're heading into your last couple of weeks in Europe, last few weeks in Europe before heading home for summer. A couple of rounds of the Formula 2 Championship to go. Obviously, the Formula 1 test, which, of everything that you could possibly do to put yourself on that radar for Formula 1, that presumably stands out as a pretty big weekend for you. Just tell us about what the next month holds, what you hope to achieve. I mean, obviously, championship-wise, probably not in the championship battle, given how the year's been. But what do you hope to achieve? Because you have had results that would indicate that in another year you could be challenging for a championship, right?
Yeah, I mean we had we've had, I think they showed some stats recently of most laps led this year, and I think we're like second on the list for laps led. Also had a couple of wins. Obviously got the one in Monaco taken away, but which cost us a lot of points. But I think we've had the speed this year in a lot of races. That's not been the difficult parts. For sure, some weekends it has been, but I think most weekends we've been fast. But yeah, it is a shame to go into the last couple of weekends not in a position to really be fighting for the title. It also means that there's not that there was so much anyway early in the season, but there's no pressure to be safe in any races. You know, we basically go flat out every time and try and have some highlights to finish off the year. I would say that's the goal for the last couple of rounds, and from now until then, a lot of training really. It's upped a lot more recently as well because of F1 test. Because of the F1 test, I need to be as ready for that as I can be. It's a different type of training, I would say. It's a different. The F2 and F1 are both extremely physical. In some ways, F2 is more physical, just because of not having power steering. So it's quite a lot heavier to turn. So a lot more on the upper body, but it's not as fast, and you don't put as many G's. So on your neck and on your whole body, locking in your core and things like that is not so important. So it changed a little bit the way we train now until December. To basically try and be ready for that. We have simulator days as well at Red Bull, working with AlphaTauri as well to prepare for the test.
Awesome. And mate, beyond that, I mean, obviously, let's hope that the test goes well. You're coming home for summer. Let's touch on that to start with. Pookie, still very much home for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's basically, I mean, I had been trying for 4 or 5 weeks. We tried to get a quarantine spot, and we kept missing out. And it was looking pretty unlikely for a while. So, it was a massive relief to get a spot to come home. It's I think it's a really important part of my year to come home and refresh, completely take my mind off racing for a little bit and enjoy time with family and friends. And I think every year I go back overseas feeling fresh and ready to take on the new year. So I'm really glad to be able to do that again. But I still live in Pukekohe. The family's still home there, so I'm super excited to go home and catch up with everybody there.
Awesome. And then, mate, if we sort of cast your eye ahead to next year, obviously it's going to be a pretty big year for you in terms of where your future ends up. I think you have some idea of plans, probably can't quite announce that at this point. But what is sort of next year sort of hold for you, and how important is that Formula 1 test coming up in a few weeks' time in relation to what you're going to be doing next year and beyond?
It's for sure. It's very, very important. I think it's in a lot of ways you go into it being told that it's your first time in the car, and it's true in a lot of ways that you need to take the day to. I mean, I only have one day as well, so I need to learn everything I can and basically build up to it. But it's an important test for sure because I need to be quick in that car to have any shot at being able to drive it in the future. So yeah, I would say a lot of I don't think it's changing so much plans for next year, how the test goes, but it's still a very, very important test for me. And in terms of what we end up doing next year, on that side of things, it's down to what Red Bull decides, really what they want me to do. It's really in their hands.
All right. I take it long-term Formula One still is the main focus for you at some point.
Yes, that's still the dream.
Awesome, mate. Well, look, congratulations on what's been a phenomenal year. We look forward to seeing how you go next year. I think it's going to be even bigger again. I appreciate your time. Good luck for the last couple of rounds and for that Formula One test, and look forward to seeing you back home over summer.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me.